1962, John Glenn is about to become the first American to orbit the Earth. But there's a problem. NASA's early computers are new and untested, and the numbers don't add up. Glenn stops everything and makes a request. Get the girl to check the numbers. If she says they're good, I'm ready to go. That girl was actually a full-grown woman. NASA math legend Katherine Johnson, a woman who calculated the trajectory of complicated flight paths by hand and helped put humanity on the moon. And this is her story. Katherine Johnson was born in 1918 in West Virginia, a time when black girls weren't expected to be mathematicians, scientists, or pioneers. But Katherine wasn't just any girl. She was truly a child prodigy. By the time she was 10 years old, she was already in high school. Her favorite question? Why? Why did numbers behave the way they did? Thank the stars, her teachers saw something extraordinary in her. They encouraged her to chase the impossible. At the age of 14, she graduated from high school. By 18, Katherine Johnson graduated summa cum laude from West Virginia State College, now West Virginia State University, with degrees in mathematics and French in 1937. As was common for the day, women with degrees typically became teachers. Katherine taught math at a public school, had 3 daughters, but never stopped pursuing her advanced math training. In 1953, Katherine seized the opportunity to join the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, or NACA, the organization that would later become NASA, so much easier to say, where she finally got to apply her incredible mathematical talents to aerospace research and space exploration. This period of her life laid the foundation for her groundbreaking work in the space race. This was also a time of segregation. Black women worked in separate offices. They had to use separate bathrooms, separate cafeterias, and even separate coffee pots. But Katherine didn't accept these limits. Maybe she was simply too busy. The scenes made famous in the movie Hidden Figures of her bathroom marathons didn't really happen like that. Katherine just used the closest female bathroom and no one really complained. Good. However, just like the movie, she pushed her way into high-level meetings where women weren't previously allowed. She belonged there. She needed to be there, and everyone pretty much knew that. And when NASA needed someone to calculate the trajectory of a rocket by hand, Katherine was the one they turned to. Yes, that scene in the movie played out pretty much as it happened.
The goal point for re-entry is 2,990 miles from where we want Colonel Glenn to land. If we assume that's the Bahamas, at 17,544 miles per hour.
Absolute legend. At this point, Katherine saying so was actually more reliable than computers of the day. As a non-math gifted human, I find Katherine's skills to be pure wizardry. February 20th, 1962, NASA is about to launch John Glenn into space to become the first American to orbit Earth. It's difficult for us to imagine the importance or the danger of this moment today when every yahoo with $1 billion has had their own private space party a few years ago. But the computer calculations in 1962 weren't matching up, and if they were wrong, John Glenn might not survive re-entry. So Glenn says, get the girl to check the numbers. For hours, Katherine checked the math by hand. The numbers confirmed what she already knew. John Glenn was go for a launch. Thanks to Katherine's calculations, Glenn orbits the Earth safely and returns home. But she's not done yet, because next, she's going to help land a soup can full of humans on the moon. When NASA planned Apollo 11, the first moon landing, every single calculation had to be flawless. How do you launch a spacecraft 250,000 miles into space, land it, and bring it back? Such an undertaking requires figuring out the unknown and predicting the unpredictable. Orbital mechanics, gravitational forces, re-entry, trajectory, it's a long list of long-worded problems that would overwhelm entire teams of people. It's still the greatest challenge NASA has ever undertaken. We now use any NASA tech to be synonymous with the greatest tech on Earth. A pen that writes upside down, invented by NASA engineers, a foam bed designed by engineers, so you know it's the best. But when it came to putting men on the moon, the greatest, most reliable tech on Earth was a piece of chalk in the hands of this brilliant woman. and everyone knew it. Astronauts trusted her, and computers wanted to be like her. Planning a successful moon mission is incredibly complex due to the constant movement of both the moon and the Earth, which orbit the sun while also rotating on their axes. Engineers must calculate precise launch windows to ensure the spacecraft intercepts the moon's path at the right time.
Oops!
Factors like Earth's gravity, the moon's weaker gravitational pull, fuel constraints, and atmospheric drag all influence the spacecraft's trajectory. Every phase, launch, lunar landing, and return, requires the exact calculations to ensure the spacecraft travels through space where there are no gas stations or Starbucks, lands safely on a moving target, and returns to Earth's atmosphere at the correct angle to avoid burning up or bouncing back into space. Katherine mapped the precise paths that would guide Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins to the moon and back. That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. The solid platform for that leap of the ages was Katherine Johnson's math skills. Katherine Johnson also played a critical role in saving Tom Hanks during the Apollo 13 crisis. After the spacecraft experienced a life-threatening explosion, Johnson was tasked with verifying and recalculating the complex backup return trajectory that would bring the crew safely back to Earth. Her precise calculations helped ensure that the spacecraft re-entered the Earth's atmosphere at the correct angle, ultimately aiding in the safe return of the astronauts. Her work provided essential reassurance to the mission control team during the crisis. By now, you're likely familiar with the movie Hidden Figures that pays tribute to Katherine and others who made significant contributions to our space program. Katherine's genius and determination inspired generations of scientists and engineers and proved that intelligence has no gender or race. At age 97, Katherine was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor for a civilian. NASA named a building after her. They even named an asteroid in her honor. Katherine once said, "Like what you do, and you will do your best." And her best? Well, it took us to space and became the gold standard for performance and excellence under pressure. If you like true stories of adventure, innovation, and inspiration, consider subscribing if that's your jam. Thanks for watching. McNutt out.